Hello and welcome to this tutorial for the Population add-on version 2. If you haven't seen the first tutorial, please watch it first on YouTube or in the Blender Market documentation. In this tutorial, we'll be talking exclusively about the new Population version 2 updates. Let's get started. In single, people, walk, run, or ambient mode, you can enable or disable SSS, subsurface scattering, for HD characters. The aim is to optimize rendering according to your scene. Now let's discover the new Paint mode. Select Classic mode in Crowd. Select a surface and add a crowd. For this example, I'm going to create a small crowd. My crowd is in place. If I select my crowd, I can modify its parameters, density, seed, and more. Alternatively, I can select my surface, my floor, to bring up this new menu. Toggle mode switches to Paint mode. The Cleanup Map button removes all characters for painting. The Reset Map button deletes the map I've just created and makes all the characters appear. In this example, I click on Clean Map. Check that my weight brush is set to 1 and then paint directly on my surface to make the characters appear and create different groups. When I switch to Solid mode, I can see the influence of the weight paint colors on my characters. Of course, when I launch the animation with the keyboard spacebar, all the characters are animated. When I like my crowd, I click on Toggle Map to exit the mode. I can then select my crowd again and change the settings if necessary. Let's explore what's new in Stadium mode. From the collection, I'll choose the one I've prepared with isolated vertexes. I compose my crowd. I import it. I change the rotation if necessary. As you can see, the probability button is present in the add-on. If I lower this value, it allows me to have free seats. Stadium mode now features a look target function, so that all spectators look in a specific direction. Check the Look Target button and use an object as a target in Target. This time, instead of adding character by character, I can add a group of people. By 3 by 5 or by 7. In this example, I choose 5 characters. I click on Add New Person. As you can see in the list, each of the 5 characters will play the listen animation. I add a new Conversation 2 animation. This time, Anna will be able to play the listen animation as well as Conversation 2. Fanny and all the others are the same. If you want Olivia to play only the conversation, I can delete the other 2 animations. When everything is OK, click on Import. The loading time can be long, especially if you add a lot of characters and a lot of animations. Before importing our crowd, we set the Color Randomization slider to 1. This means that all characters will have different clothing colors. After importing my crowd, I can change this value in the adjustments. At 0, no variation in clothing color, the crowd is less varied. At 1, all characters have different colors. Be careful not to use the wrong slider. It's the slider in Adjustments that you need to modify after import to change this setting, and not the one in Crowd Creation. In this new mode, you can change width and length. But also the seed to vary the characters. You can adjust the distance between characters to create a more or less dense crowd. The Density button lets you change the number of characters. Slider gradients can be used to create a more or less dense crowd at the end. as in a concert, for example. There are more people in front of the stage and fewer behind. Target Look mode lets characters all look in the same direction by checking the mode and indicating an object to follow. Random rotation for randomly rotating characters. In the same way as the first gradient, I'll be able to modify the edges of my crowd to have a very clean edge. Or on the contrary, an edge with fewer and fewer people. Let's take a closer look at the Follow Curve mode. There are many improvements. Add a crowd that works. As you can see, we've added a button that lets you delete just one person, or you can delete the entire list. I add my crowd and click on Import. When the crowd is loaded, I can click directly on my surface to plot my crowd. In the first version, the reverse button was already there. It lets you change the direction of the crowd. In this new version, we have the bidirectional probability slider, which lets you progressively change the direction of the characters. At 0, all characters walk in one direction. At 1, all characters walk in the other direction. At 0.5, characters walk in one direction and in the other, crossing each other. This feature will add a lot of realism to your scenes. I can change line spacing, but also crowd density. Let's discover an interesting new feature of this mode. Let's trace a new path. When my curve is created and I'm in Edit mode, I can select a point on my curve. In the add-on parameters, a Pinch Inflate button appears. I can compress or expand my path along the curve. I'll increase the random start so that my characters already run the full length of my curve. I launch the animation. The effect is very interesting and allows you to create a variety of paths for all kinds of situations. Let's explore the new On Vertices mode. We'll add a plane and select it as a surface. I'll make it invisible for rendering. I add characters and import. I open a new window. As I can see, each character is added on a vertex. I can switch to Edit mode and add polygons to compose my crowd. Of course, the characters are animated when I run the animation. This mode is useful if I want to compose a crowd precisely according to a mesh. Voila! You've discovered the new version of Population version 2. Thank you for following this tutorial and happy blend!